Hello everyone, this is going to be your full moon lunar eclipse reading for March 14th of 2025. This lunar eclipse is in the sign of Virgo and is occurring at 2:55 a.m. Eastern Time, but times will vary depending on your location. This is the first of three major astrological turning points this year, starting with this full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. Then 1 week later, roughly, we're going to have the Aries Ingress, the annual seasonal change, which is always a shift in energy. And then the following week, we're going to have a new moon lunar eclipse in Aries. This is a special eclipse because it's ushering in the new paradigm, you could say. Eclipses always follow the nodes and they occur in opposite signs. So for the past year and a half or so, we've been having them, the eclipses in Libra and Aries. And as I mentioned, we will have one more eclipse in Aries at the end of the month, the last of this axis. But now it's shifted, the nodes have shifted to this axis, which is the Virgo-Pisces axis. And this is going to be the first eclipse of the Virgo-Pisces axis. Before we get into the reading, this is you're watching the Rock and Roll Prophetess on YouTube, and my name is VickieVerlie, and you can find me at vickieverlie.com. Do not be fooled by imposters. I am offering the Aries Ingress reading. It falls under, I titled it the Aries Ingress reading, but it will take into account not only this eclipse, but also the Aries eclipse as it relates to your chart. If you want to get in on that, the only way to order readings or anything that I have is through my website. There's imposters on social media. It's rampant. Do not believe them. So if you'd like to see how that might pan out for you, you could head over to my website. This is a psychic or intuitive reading, so I do color outside the traditional lines, but that's how we grow and change in this world. That's how any science expands, is by reaching out into the broader senses and pulling in new techniques, new information. And I do get a lot of downloads from my guides as we proceed. So if you're into astrology, just know that some things may not line up with traditional astrology or what's been written in the books. But if you're not into astrology really, and this looks like a bunch of mumbo jumbo to you, realize that as we get going, I'll be getting downloads and messages from my guides, and it turns into much more of a psychic reading. So it's not going to be all about technical. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive in. So yes, as I explained, it is the first eclipse on the Pisces-Virgo axis. Here's the Pisces and here's the Virgo axis. And this is going to be, it's been a change, and it's a change of energy, it's a change of paradigm. They keep wanting me to use the term paradigm. So it's it's conjunct the node, then the south node eclipse. The south node is all about releasing the past, dropping baggage. A full moon eclipse, a lunar eclipse, is, number one, it could be very much, it illuminates. It shines a light and illuminates. You have big realizations, big aha moments. But it also can be, the full moon lunar eclipses are the more likely to eclipse something out of your life. We've all heard that term, I'm sure. Something's going to be eclipsed out of your life. Well, usually it's on these full moon lunar eclipses that something could be eclipsed out of your life. I feel like you want it to go in a lot of cases, though. It's like it's a combination of both. It's a realization, and it's like, I don't need this anymore. It's almost like I'm looking at just the images. It's like a what do they call that? A cup or a basket read. It's a basket configuration nearly. There's stuff scattered, but it's where one thing, like this is the handle to the basket, and then there's all this stuff on the other side. So this is the handle to the basket, and then there's all this stuff on the other side. So it's like it's going against the majority of the energy is over here on this side of the chart, and the majority of the energy is so much in Pisces right now still. So the Virgo is the opposition, but we've got the Neptune conjunct the North Node, and this time the Saturn and the Sun are in there too. Earlier readings that we've done, we've had this North Node Neptune conjunction, so they've been working together for a while, a good couple of weeks or so, right? In a tight orb conjunction, 27, 29, they're together. And the Sun has been, bopping around with Saturn and different things, but now they're getting into the 20s here too. So we've got Sun, Saturn, and Neptune in the node. This is, to me, more the main attraction of this this energetic imprint, let's just say. Okay, let's break it down a little, get into it a little deeper then. Okay, so first of all, the North Node with the Neptune alone. The North Node is our true north. It's the direction that we're going in. I always use my little 2-pen illustration when I'm doing the readings. So and we have this North Node. This is the way that we are intending to go. I did a whole video about it, actually. But everybody veers off the road. Everybody goes off in a different direction. And the longer you stay on this alternative timeline, this alternative trajectory, the further and further the gap gets wider and wider and wider away from your original intention. So the transiting North Node, which is what we're talking about here, that's in your, it applies to your natal birth chart too. But the transiting node here, this is the collective energy. This is what's being expressed through the divine. It's what my guides want me to say. And with the Piscean, being in Pisces, it definitely is that divine energy. It is that spiritual, all that stuff. The other thing is about the 12th house and the Pisces energy, same difference pretty much, is it's the ending. And also 29 degrees is the ending. The zodiacs go from 0 degrees up to 29 degrees, and then they go back to 0 into the next sign. So it's always going 0 to 29, 0 to 29. It's always going first to 12th house, first through 12th house. It never ends. It's a constant cycling. Okay, so I need to change glasses here. So, but this is the end of a cycle. And 29 of Pisces is the very last degree of the last sign of the entire zodiac. This is the very end of everything before, and then next comes 0 Aries, and we start this whole cycle all over again. So we are at the ending of an epoch, is what they're saying. Epoch, I'm not sure how to say that word, but that's the guides flash that word in front of my eyes there. So it's the ending of this big cycle, and with age comes wisdom. That's what I just got. Because this is, the wisdom of the ages. They're putting it both ways. So within this configuration holds the wisdom of the ages. The wisdom of the ages. And it's through our collective. It's our collective. It's our subconscious. It's the collective unconscious, the collective consciousness. It's deep. It's vast. It's wide. And it's being obstructed and it's being convoluted by all the noise and all the tedium too, which is, Virgos, I love my Virgos. I say all the time how many good friends I've had as Virgos and great work partners. I work well with Virgos. I like my Virgos. But there's always a negative and positive every expression. And the downside of the Virgo is too tedious, too much busy work, too much, nitpicky, critical. Very critical, very contrary, they're saying. So we might be aware of how we're missing out on some broader energetic frequencies that are being rained down upon us at this time. That's what the guides are saying. So there is this broader range of energetic frequencies. There is this deeper connection, deeper than ever before. That's what the guides are saying. So, but we can't hear it if we're caught up in our everyday and checking it. This could definitely be like checking our devices all the time. Busy work, doing this busy work. And we always got to say, I'm so busy. Oh, I'm so busy right now. And I'm guilty. I say it all the time. I'll cop to that. I'm so busy, which I am busy. But when we're caught up in the rat race or the hamster wheel here, we can't, we can't feel into this download and this energy that's coming along. And sometimes it may express itself like the universe could make you, because Virgo rules health too. This could be like, well, guess what? You're going to sit your ass down. You're going to take a break. Sometimes it could be we get sick or we get some kind of health thing, happens or something like that, where we have to slow down. Or we just work ourselves into a state of exhaustion and we're just so tired and we can't get off the couch, I mean, I've definitely done that, trying to get some of these projects done, and then it just gets to the point where I just can't even get up, I'm zonked. So there could be this element of being zonked, but with the full moon in Virgo, we don't have to take it to that extreme, okay? We don't have to take it to that extreme. we can voluntarily, you know, we can have that awareness, like, I'm too busy. I'm focused, things are out of balance. Every axis brings things into balance. The Virgo axis, Virgo Pisces axis, is the Virgo is all the mental, thinking, you know, calculating, working, and then the Pisces is grooving on life and music and creativity and art and, you know, just being, you know, oblivious sometimes to the day-to-day workings of life, you know, those kinds of things. So the idea is to bring things into balance. You don't want to go too much on either direction or you know, have too much on either side. You want to find the balance. And this Virgo full moon could be giving us an awareness of where we've come out of balance to whatever degree. Maybe you're doing too much of this, and you know, oh, it's the 5th of the month, I still haven't, you know, checked on, put all the bills in or whatever. You know, maybe you're not focusing enough on the Virgo. So there's this element of that. But again, we got to remember, it's the South Node. It's a full moon. Something could be eclipsed out of our lives. So something's got to give. In other words, you know, something's got to give. And often with some of these big astrological transits, you know, you could do it the easy way or you could do it the hard way. Like I was just saying, if you're not going to take a break, then the universe will take, you know, shut you down, and force you into having a break. So there's always, you know, there's these, it's the two sides of the coin. It's this double-sided situation happening. And it's going to be different for everybody. But we're swimming in the deep end of the pond for sure here. All this Pisces stuff, we're swimming into the deep end of the pond. Now, we didn't get to the rest of it. Now, the Sun activating it, and with Saturn. Now, Sun and Saturn traveling together. That looks weird. There. That's closer. Sun, Saturn, it still looks weird to me. Looks like an eye. Anyway, so the Sun, Saturn, well, eye, you're going to see things. But really what Saturn's more about is long-term foundations, solid foundations, setting things in motion. Like if you say you started some kind of a creative process, journaling even, or, you know, it doesn't even have to be like your vocation, or you don't have to consider yourself quote unquote an artist, but if you started, or maybe you start swimming every day, or maybe you start a meditation practice, because that's just the realm of the spirit. With the Saturn being here and the North Node, which is taking us into the future, well, it's aligning with our true north too, so it could align you with your true north, put you in that meditative state where you can get those downloads and you can process a lot of stuff, where time's flying. You're not, because Saturn is Father Time too. And it's interesting, Saturn being in Pisces, because when we are in this Piscean, Neptunian frequency and, you know, immersed in this energy, we can lose track of time. We can also time jump, they're saying, timeline jump. This is a great time to timeline jump. Well, it could just be through your own realization. You know, it's just like, hey, I'm working myself to death, I want to stop this. Or I'm in this job that I hate, I want to stop this. Or, you know, Virgo is health too. Or I'm eating a bunch of crap food, I'm going to stop this. You know, you could have your own realizations about things. But it's coming, know that it's coming through this big collective, you know, unconscious, conscious download thing. Now, Uranus is involved really heavily too. The full moon itself is in almost an exact trine, 23 degrees and 24 degrees here, to Uranus. So with the Uranian energy, yes, it is higher dimensional also. It lends itself to higher dimensional energies. More on the scientific realm, more on the technological advancement realm, but more of the big, it wants to be free. Uranus' function, primary function, I would say, in astrology and in your chart and by transit, is it wants freedom. Freedom, I won't let you down. Yeah, it wants freedom. It's freedom from bondage. So you could be set free of something, either willingly or, you know, some people, I mean, I feel bad for people who lost their jobs. I really do, you know. I know a lot of people, even in government jobs and different things, have lost their jobs here recently. But you don't even have to be in that group. You know, maybe all of a sudden you hate this job, it's a grind, you bitch about it constantly, oh, I need to, you know. But Uranus, maybe the job ends suddenly. And it might be scary. There's always a little bit of fear, because Uranus is in this higher dimensional frequency. It's ruled by Aquarius, but those lines, it's like it's like those the electricity flying in the air. The image they're actually showing me is when it's really hot, you know, and that there's those, I don't know what those even called, heat lines or something. You can pick them up on film. You can see them in movies sometimes, where there's there's this other frequency, and when you first step into this other frequency, it can be a little bit, alarming or disorienting. It can knock you off your base a little bit. So that's why it's great that we do have the Saturn-Sun conjunction too. That's going to help ground us as we're traveling through these murky waters, or there's a lot of there's some big changes and transformational things happening here. So there is this maybe moment of being a little disoriented, or a little bit, what am I going to do now? Or a little bit scary. It could be a little scary. It's a little bit like, ooh, this feels different. This feels weird. That when you're about to, it's a well-known fact, that when you're about to make these big leaps, that's when the most of the fear will come up. Also, though, because it's eclipse season, and the nodes are involved, and Saturn as well, because Saturn is, our lineage. We're not only processing our own fears, we're processing the fears of our ancestors and our collective fears, So even if I think that's, one of the reasons a lot of people have anxiety, I think, is lack of exercise. I know that's not a cure-all. I know people get really upset when you say exercise more, but it does help, walking and exercising. But I think that's one of the reasons that, anxiety is at such an epidemic, but it's also because of all these devices and everything. But secondly, something that's not talked about often is we are processing. We're in this ending of this old cycle as we move into this new paradigm, the age of Aquarius. And we are processing all the earth energy. I feel like a lot of it's not only through our own personal lineage that travels through our body and our DNA and our physical form, because after all, Virgo is the earth sign. 6th house is a house of health, body, physical form. But it's just the collective, it's the collective fears, it's the collective, there's just so much. And, as we know, back in the day, we would get our news at 6 and 11, or our daily newspaper, and that would be it. And then we might talk about it a little bit, but we wouldn't really, it wasn't so much up front. But now those news cycles, and it's on the internet, it's just constant. A lot of times this side of our world, or our personal reality, gets neglected. So we want to give some time for our Piscean thing. We want to give some time to relax. We want to release tension. We want to release overactive mental activity, and allow for new information to come in. Because if you're constantly blah, 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 you can't get a new thought or an idea. And what is creativity but bringing in new thoughts and ideas? It really is. So creativity is not just for the artist, And I've always said this, too. We are in an expanding universe. We're not meant to stay stagnant. So many people want to stay stagnant. And it's just futile, because it's just not happening. It's not the law of the universe. We are an expanding universe. So we are here to expand. Time waits for no man, Time stands still for no man, something like that. Now the Aries Ingress is right around the corner here, and we've got a little bit of Aries going on here. And this Aries is at 7 and 9 degrees, and it's sextiling with the Jupiter. So I like that. The Jupiter is in here. The Jupiter is also, what is it doing? It's trining up here. The Jupiter is squaring some of these asteroids here, Ceres and stuff. So Jupiter is kind of everything I was just saying. You know, Jupiter in Gemini. What is the planet of mental? The ruler of Virgo and the ruler of Mercury is Gemini. And Gemini is all about that mental processing and all that good stuff. And Jupiter's there, and amplifying the F out of it. You know, it's really amplifying it up. So there's that going on too. So again, this calmness is needed, and also the Aries energy. It's the Mercury, the ruler of Gemini and Virgo, the ruler of the full moon over here, full moon lunar eclipse. Mercury is in a very tight conjunction with Venus. So we've got Venus and Mercury working together. Okay, Venus and Mercury is conducive for financial negotiations. Comes to the forefront for me for some reason. So financial negotiations, but also, you know, creativity. Mercury wants to express, Venus brings forth creativity, love, words of love. I'm hearing let it be, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Speaking words of wisdom, for sure. Impulsive, you know, you might let something slip. It might be hard to keep a secret or surprise right now is what's coming through for me. Like, you might let it, if you're so excited about like the surprise or a gift, maybe you brought somebody a gift for their birthday or something, and maybe you're just too excited and you just have to give it to them. Like, you just can't, you know, this wants to do action. If you've been, you know, admiring somebody from afar or been a secret admirer, you might declare your love towards them, you know. But also too, it can go quickly. If there is something that's been mulling around, because that's a lot of things. The main project I'm working on now is this book, and it's been mulling around for 10 years. And it was back in August, actually, that because I want to release it around the Halloween season, and I foolishly thought I could get it done in a few months. And here it is, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. 8 months later, and I'm still not done with it. I've been working on it diligently for 8 months, for many hours a day, and I'm still not done with it. But it's just, I'm getting all these downloads of how to make it better, better, better. I was going to just use clip art or AI, and I'm like, no, I need to draw this out, and, you know, the more I dive, it's just going to be all the cooler when it does come out, you know. But, what was I saying? Oh, but like something that's been mulling around in your subconscious, even if it's a project, maybe it's just like, you know, oh, I want to paint my kitchen, or I want to go clean out my garage, or I want to get this or that thing done, and you're visualizing it in your head of how you're going to do it and what you're going to do it. Or if it is some bigger, your great American novel or whatever, you know, your great thing, your great creative work that you're going to explore. But it could be just mundane. Sixth house is mundane stuff. Virgo's everyday work. With this Venus and Mercury, you could get it rolling. You know, it's just like, well, let's just get it. Let's just tear into it. This weekend, I'm going to go get the paint. I'm going to paint the kitchen. Maybe I'm going to do my spring cleanup in my yard, plan my garden. You've been planting your garden all winter. I'm going to order the seeds, or I'm going to go to the greenhouse and start picking out my plants, or, you know, whatever the case might be. You know, and with the Venus joining with Mercury, it would go well. You know, it would go, and it also too, like something like, say you are working on some big creative project, you know, or some big project, whatever the case might be. And it's like you've tried a couple times and you hit a brick wall or this or that and the other. With this, it would go smoothly. Like it would just clicking along. You know, you'd be in that clip where things are just moving along, clipping along. Mercury writing, you know, you could make a lot of progress real quickly, and it wouldn't seem so with Venus. Might not seem like such a chore. You know, it's not like you're pulling your guts out trying to get it done. It's just you're in flow. You know, you're just flowing. You can't get the ideas down fast enough. Or if it is something like painting the kitchen, you're just like, oh, I got to take all the pictures off the wall. It's going to be such a pain in the butt. You know, bam, bam, bam. It goes real quickly, and it's not going to be as much work as you thought it was. You're going to make quick work of a situation. And work is also a major key word for Virgo, but quick work of a situation. Things can be accomplished in a timely manner. So it's a good time to, you know, actually take action on things like that. Because Aries is very much hit the ground running. It's not about contemplating forever. It's like, okay, well, let's get a plan, let's get started, you know. They want to get started. So even though, well, actually, you know, I think, no, Mercury's direct by them, but Venus is still retrograde. or Mercury hasn't gone retrograde yet, but it's about to. It's going to go, this is on the, it's like the next day, yeah, isn't it? Mercury, yeah, it's just about slowed down to a halt here. So yeah, Mercury's stationing, and it's going to go retrograde afterwards. Well, maybe you'll get it done real quick in one day before before the next day when Mercury goes retrograde. But yeah, so there is this, it's not all so much in the dreamy contemplative state, but that's such a powerful and a big part of it, you know. A downside of this kind of energy could be, too, you see something you like and you just buy it without thinking. And then you find out later, oh, well, you know, the full moon illuminates. It's just like, oh, wow, these things, there's a lot of recalls on this thing. They tend to break down a lot. It wasn't a good purchase. It wasn't a good buy. Or maybe I just accepted this job offer too quickly without really, you know, thinking about the long-term consequences. But I think that's few and far between. I actually get a very positive energy and positive vibe out of this thing here. Well, you know, I could go on forever about this chart and all the things that are going on. That's why I'm offering it all as kind of like a bundle. It's listed if you want to get into these things and see how this planetary things could possibly affect your chart. What I do is buy a wheel. So I run your natal wheel in the middle, and then the outer wheel is actually the eclipse chart. I mean, not the eclipse chart, excuse me, the Aries Ingress chart. But then I do add marks along there showing the two eclipses and the degrees of them, and the eclipses will also be discussed in that reading. So it's an Aries Ingress reading, but we also will discuss, well, actually, it's as always, I don't offer these, did I just say always? Oh, that's one of my pet peeves in here. I'm doing it. It's always, not ooies. I think I just said it. See how when that stuff's out in the collective conscious, you just pick it up even if you're like Virgo nitpicking. Like it's not ooies. It's not ooies. It's all ways. This is such a great, though, it's such a great little illustration, you know, because that's me being nitpicky about pronunciation, which I tend to do sometimes. Well, what it is, it's my musician ear. I think people don't even realize or notice it. But then people don't even realize or notice it, like I just didn't realize or notice it, but it just slips into our vocabulary. It slips into our vernacular. Isn't that crazy? So that was a great little illustration. Hopefully I won't... or maybe that's just the universe saying, stop being such a nitpicker. It's no big deal if somebody wants to say ooies. Because it reminds me of like ooey, ooey, thick and chewy or whatever. It was some old commercial. But yeah, talking about that reading. So I'm offering it as the Aries Ingress. If you like this kind of reading, this astrology type of psychic astrology reading, because they're only available periodically. So I might do a solstice one, but I don't know. But this one is, you know, the Aries Ingress is the astrological new year. So all the ingresses are definitely major turning points, but the Aries Ingress in particular is kicking off the new astrological new year because of everything I discussed at the beginning. 0 Aries is the new beginning, so when the sun goes to 0 Aries, that kicks off the new astrological new year, not January 1st. Also, Aries Ingress, very powerful time to do your affirmations, set your intentions. That's probably, the Aries Ingress is your own solar return. When your birthday or solar return is your first most powerful time to set your intentions. Your second most powerful time to set your intentions is the new moon in your sun or rising sign. And especially like if you are Aries, that new moon eclipse, you know, and especially if you're getting hit by the eclipses. And then the third most powerful time for everybody is the Aries Ingress. And January 1st just really has no bearing. But it does because it's in the collective conscious, you know. But it really, astrologically, January 1st, it's a hit or miss. It might by sure happenstance, you know, have some astrological correspondence. But really, January 1st is just kind of a made-up thing. And all the ancient religions and all the ancient traditions all, they go by the solstices and the ingresses and the equinoxes. Aries equinox is another term, maybe more popularly referred to that way. But anywho, so that reading is only going to be available for a couple more weeks to the end of this month, a few more weeks, and then it's gone. So if you want to see how the Aries ingress, how these eclipses and all the transits may affect you in your chart, check it out. I know many order every year. Next to the year ahead reading, it's the most popular reading of the year as well. And if you want to dive into, do some spiritual art exercises, I do have that course over on Gumroad. It's drastically discounted now because it's several years old, but it's still valid. It's where you go through and you actually are painting, and it's a step-by-step video. It's a lot. It was a lot to put together. But it goes into, I always feel like when you're writing things down or painting them or putting them on paper or tablet or whatever, you're expressing them in the physical world. So therefore they're no longer in the ether, which is very much Piscean, but they're Virgo. They're written down. They're in the physical world. They have manifest in the form of, in a physical form, if that makes sense. So anyhow, hey, we're in for some big culminations, perhaps turbulence. But, keeping things in balance, always going to your higher guidance, because this Pisces stuff, the Pisces node thing isn't going away anytime soon. Or Saturn. Saturn, the node, and Neptune are not. They will be leaving in the summer months, mid-year. But right now, even after the Aries ingress and after this eclipse month is over, they'll still be hanging around there. So that energy is still always available to you to tune in, to get in touch with, to touch base with your soul. This is your soul or oversoul energy. It's a good time to touch base with your soul. Virgo, stay grounded. Something may be eclipsed out of your life, but who knows? It might be a blessing. Maybe it's something you need to get rid of. Okay? All right, so this is the reading. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Remember, you are love and beauty incarnate. Check out the Aries ingress reading, available for a limited time. And I'll be back again soon with another reading. Till then, bye.